happen if the legal wife confronted her husband's mistress? Riley imagined she would remain composed. After all, she was in the right, and she had every reason to fight, but her body unknowingly shook from anger. It was challenging to contain the hatred she harbored for this woman before her. "What are you doing here, Claire Monet?" the young mistress asked. Riley Allen Martin, 27, the legal wife and accomplished jewelry designer, responded fiercely. "I decided to fight for my marriage, but you've already agreed to the divorce," Claire reacted, her big blue eyes narrowing and her face darkening. Ignoring Claire, Riley attempted to walk past her, but Claire grabbed her wrist and pointed out, "I'm carrying Brian's child," pulling her arm away. Riley curtly said, "I need to talk to." "Ah, Mrs. Martin, what did I do to you?" Before Riley knew it, Claire was sprawled on the floor. Calling, "Brian, she pushed me. Help, our baby, stupefied." Riley was shocked by the girl's theatrics. Riley had seen such scenes in movies, where the mistress pretended to be mistreated by the legal wife. But she did not expect this from a 20-year-old, innocent-looking girl. Brian Martin, Riley's husband, rushed towards them with fury in his eyes. When Riley met his gaze, a firm slap hit her face, sending her gracelessly to the tiled floor. "How could you? Riley, you knew Claire was carrying my child. Why are you trying to take away the one thing you could not give me?" Brian yelled while pointing a finger at Riley. "Why are you even here? Do you want to cause trouble? I know you are mad at me, but don't take it on Claire. She did not know I was married. She is innocent. I told you this many times." They were at the old Martin mansion, the house of Riley's in-laws. She knew Brian would introduce his mistress to his family that day, but Riley had very important news to tell Brian, so she came uninvited, hoping to talk with her husband. Unfortunately for Riley, Claire was the one who opened the door. "I did not push her. She fell by." Riley couldn't finish her words because she felt pain in her belly. She was in so much agony she thought her back was breaking. Gasping for air and clutching her stomach, she raised her upper body from the floor as Brian pulled his mistress closer to him. His mother, Beatrice Martin, raced in their direction and snapped at Riley. "If anything happens to my grandchild, Riley, I will never forgive you. You were married to Brian for 4 years, but you could not give us a grandchild. You are a barren woman. I did not push her. Would you rather believe Claire? Was I not part of this family for 4 years? I am still your daughter-in-law?" Riley retorted, "Not anymore. You lost that privilege when you could not give me a grandchild. You shouldn't have come here and caused any trouble. You already agreed to divorce my son." Beatrice yelled at Riley. Then, she turned to her son and ordered, "Bring Claire to the hospital quickly. We need to make sure my grandchild is safe." Riley shot her husband a deadly stare. For a fleeting moment, she saw guilt in his eyes. But after Brian glanced at the weeping woman against his chest, he rushed out of the mansion with Claire in his arms. He did not care about Riley at all. Divorce, yes. Riley and Brian had already discussed the divorce 2 weeks ago, months prior. Her husband of 4 years had turned cold towards Riley. His kisses were short and unfeeling. He no longer touches her. He came home late every night and made excuses, saying he attended to his family's investments. But in truth, he was spending nights with his young mistress. How did she discover her husband's betrayal? 2 months ago, she received an anonymous email containing images of Brian and Claire entering a hotel and sharing late-night meals. In each picture, Riley couldn't help but notice the affection in Brian's eyes for the young woman, a gaze reminiscent of the one he once reserved solely for her. Along with those photos was a copy of a sales deed to a condominium in Claire Monet's name. The email also suggested that Claire and her family were moving into the luxury residential home the next day. Claire Monet had no money, and Claire's family certainly did not have any. She was a food attendant at a KTV bar. Only Brian could have purchased the condo for his mistress. Riley barged into the condo the next day and caught Claire and her family as they moved their things, naturally. Her husband was also at the residential unit. He dropped a box of plates on the floor, shocked to come face-to-face with his wife. Brian's betrayal caused Riley emotional trauma, but she could not easily discard for years of a happy marriage.